Hello again, everybody. This is Erik Berglund. I'm the founder of the Language of Leadership, and in partnership with RTIlearning.com and CNR Magazine, it makes me really happy to bring you part 3 of our series, How Do You Get Them to Do the Thing? In part 1, we covered how do you get them to do the quality of work thing? How do you hold them accountable when they don't quite do it right? And in part 2, we talked about how do you set them up to be successful? How do you get them to do the thing the first time instead of having to hold them accountable? Well, today we're here to talk about how do you do the feedback thing? How do you actually get people to get better at their jobs? How do you give them the feedback or correction that they need in order to keep progressing, taking on more responsibility, making more money, making you more money, all of those details? How do you do that? And we've all struggled with this, right? You've known what they need to do better. Maybe you've even tried to tell them before, but they always get so defensive and they make so many excuses that you can't get through to them. Or maybe they even say, yes, I'll do that, but then they don't really change anything, or they change for a couple weeks, and then they go back when you're not looking anymore to doing it however they were doing it before. We've all struggled with getting people to hear our feedback, and that's what we're going to talk about here today. How do you not give the feedback? Because you know what you need them to do better. In fact, you know better than I do, right? I don't do your job. I don't do their job. I don't know what measurements they should be doing better, or readings, or pieces of equipment, or checklists. I don't know any of those details. But what I do know is that getting them to open up and hear you is the big problem you're facing. Today, we're going to talk about how do you get your people to hear your feedback and not be so defensive or make so many excuses. And the skill you need in order to do that is called enrollment. See, enrollment is the art and skill of getting somebody to voluntarily participate in a conversation with you because they know what's in it for them and they know your intentions. That's what enrollment is all about. Let me give you an example of an enrollment statement. What I want for you is for these videos to be as meaningful as possible. I want them to hit home. I want them to resonate with the industry and the space that you're in. I don't know everything about your business, so I kind of need your feedback. Would you be willing to give me some feedback about the videos and whether or not they're being helpful or not? Simple enrollment statement. I told you it wasn't it for you, better videos. I told you my part in it. I'm trying to learn from you. And I asked you to participate in it by giving us feedback below. Those are the 3 components of an enrollment statement. Let me use a different one that might actually make sense for your business. Hey, John, I really want to continue to give you bigger and bigger jobs and run a bigger and bigger crew. But in order to do that, there's a couple things you would need to change, because right now it wouldn't work out if I did that. Could I share those with you? Would that be okay? What's in it for John in this example? More crews, more opportunity, more responsibility, maybe more money, more hours. What's my role in it? Well, I want to help him through these things that are preventing him from getting what he wants. And then the third thing I did was ask him if he would have that conversation with me. I got his permission to actually share the details he would need to change. See, this is where we tend to go wrong. We just approach people and say, hey, do you got a minute? And then we start telling them what they're doing wrong. They don't know why it's happening, where it's coming from. They don't know if it's going to lead to getting fired. The anxiety goes up, which means the ears close. An enrollment statement is designed to get that person to quickly know what's in it for them and to know your intentions. What are you going to do about it? And when you give them permission, when you ask them for permission to share, they have a little agency. And that's really, really meaningful. We're going to talk through each one of those 3 parts. Part 1 here is the what's in it for them, the WIFM, W-I-I.FM. It's our favorite radio station. We're all tuned in to what's in it for us. It's not selfish or narcissistic. It's just the way humanity works. If you can quickly relate to what somebody wants, they're going to open their ears up quite a bit. And good news, whether you know your people well or not, there's always 4 types of things that almost everybody wants. Almost everybody wants more opportunity. This is titles and promotions and hours and raises and bonuses and skill development. It doesn't have to just be financial. People will do a lot of things because they get new responsibilities and new skills that are going to help make more money later. Future opportunities, almost everybody wants. Almost everybody wants better personal brand. We all like to be liked and valued and heard and thought well of and respected and trusted and have confidence from our people around us, our peers and our bosses. Almost everybody wants high personal brand. Almost everybody wants more joy. This tends to mean less stress and more time. And the last one, the 4th one that I'll share with you, which is totally fair if that's where you're at with a person, is almost everybody wants to keep their dang job. It's okay if that's what you have to enroll somebody with. Hey, John, what I really want is for you to continue to be able to work here. But I got to tell you, there's some stuff that's really going to prevent that from happening if it isn't changed real quick. I'd like to help you through it. Could we talk about that? Would that be okay? That'd be a good enrollment statement for someone you want to keep their job. So those are the things that are in it for them. We're very good at telling them what we need from them. We're very good at telling them what the company needs from them. But if you can tell them what's in it for them to hear you first, you'll find they're far more receptive and going to grow in those directions you want them to go anyway. Now, the second part of this is very easy. You're just declaring your intentions. I'm just going to tell you my role in what we're doing about here. Do I have some observations I want to share with you that I think would help you? Do I see that you're struggling with something that I'd like to help you get through? Maybe I don't even need to know what the details are. I just know you're struggling and I'd like to talk to you about it to see if I can be helpful. But declaring your intentions helps them know what you're going to do about it. And the third part we cannot miss is getting their permission. When you ask somebody a yes or no question, but they know that no isn't a real option, then their yes can't mean anything. The only thing that gives yes any meaning is the ability for the person to say no. And so we need to ask that person, hey, is it okay if I share that with you? Could we sit down and talk about that? Now look, they might say no. And that might be the case. Maybe they're not ready to hear that feedback yet. And that's okay. Being respectful of that, because they weren't going to hear you anyway. Mind you, if you bull through their no, they're not going to have any ears for you. But sometimes they have to hear us, right? Like they work for us. It's their job to listen to the boss. So sometimes we don't say just yes or no. Sometimes we give them what's called time agency. And time agency is when you let a person decide when it's going to happen. Not if, but when. And so I might say, hey, would it be okay if I shared that with you? Like, do you have 15 minutes now, or could we do it on Friday afternoon? You'll notice I give you an either or between when you wanted to hear it. Think about it this way. When the boss opens the door and says, can you come into my office for a minute so we can talk about something? All anybody can think and hear is, oh God, I'm getting fired. And all they can try to do is defend themselves and try to keep their job, even if that's not what's going to happen in the boss's office. We're all pre-programmed this way. Now, hopefully by declaring your intention, you've lowered that a little bit. But if you give somebody time agency, if you let them decide if you're going to talk today or next Tuesday, well, nobody lets you schedule your own execution. No one's going to let you schedule your own firing. This subconsciously lowers the body temperature a little bit, and the person knows, all right, we're going to talk on Tuesday, but obviously my boss didn't schedule me for a time to fire me. When you give them control like that, agency like that, or even the perception of it in the time way, you lower their anxiety, which means their ears open up and they can actually hear you a lot better. They're not going in there thinking, oh God, how do I save my job? They're going in there wondering, well, I wonder how I get that thing the boss told me you wanted to help me get. Those 3 steps, what's in it for them? What are your intentions? And getting permission from them before you share the feedback is what's been missing for you. And that's how you do the feedback thing so that your people get better at their jobs time and time again. That's how you do talent development. Now, when you share the feedback, it's important to actually hear the issues, here's what you struggled with, and then to help them do it better, either by teaching them how to do it or asking them, hey, how do you think you need to handle that better next time? Or when do you think you should schedule this? Or what order should that have gone in? Or how are you going to interact with that homeowner? You can ask a lot of good open-ended questions to help that person think through how to get better themselves. Or you can teach them if there's a known best practice or policy or something along those lines, which I know there tends to be with the certifications and trainings you go through at RTI Learning. But either way, getting them to open their ears first is what's going to help them be receptive, to be open-minded to hearing you, and actually commit to changes because it's good for them, not just going to get their boss off their back. That's how you do the feedback thing. I'm Erik Berglund from The Language of Leadership, and again, in partnership with RTILearning.com and CNR Magazine. Thanks for having me here. There are so many good resources available to you at RTILearning.com. I want to encourage you, go check it out. Whether it's my content about leadership development and what you say and how you say it, or whether it's for your people to get hands-on or virtual training, it's a great resource for you in this industry, and I'm excited to be a part of it with you. Thank you so much for taking the time with me today. I'll see you next week when we're going to cover excuses, because everyone's going to make them. Take care.